Hello, Africa. Dumilang, Akwaba, Jambo, Salam, and Marhaba, the Algerian way, to another exclusive interview during the Intra-African Trade Fair 2025. Today, we're streaming once again from the International Convention Center, Abdellatif Farhal, and we are receiving today a special guest with us in another ITF 2025 specials. During this edition, we are receiving His Excellency Nourredine Ouadah, the Minister of Knowledge Economy, Startups and SMEs. Welcome with us, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, and to all the African listeners.
Thank you, Mr. Ouadah. Mr. Ouadah will be just heading straight to our questions as we don't want to waste your time. And we are also, again, pleased to receive you with us. Thank you for accepting our invitation. You've been and you've heard today's message as they have been very strong and calling for the African diaspora as they are the driving development. So from your perspective, from your personal perspective and, you know, your professional perspective as the Minister of Knowledge Economy, Startups and SMEs, how do you see Algerian startups and SMEs fitting into the large image of the continental vision?
Today, Algeria has moved forward promoting startups but also SMEs, starting from 2020 by putting in place this department, which is in charge of knowledge economy, startups and SMEs. And the SMEs today, or startups in Algeria today, are aspiring to have more and more markets, especially on the African continent. Now the challenge is how to address this market, which is not easy. But at the same time, we have an important number of our competences abroad, in Europe or even in Africa, who can help on this effort. So the goal of the meeting today is how to gather this task force, how to gather this competence in order to make them profitable for the Algerian economy and also for the African economy. So I have the pleasure today to participate to this side event dedicated to diaspora. And what we can notice that there was an important participation of African but also Algerian experts all over the world from the 5 continents. Now we have the challenge to make a smart way to and give the possibility to these competences to contribute to the Algerian economy or the African one. One of the ways is to create a company in Algeria. Today in our department, from 2020 to today, we have launched a number of processes for venture creation, for funding, for support. And let me tell you that all the processes are online. So it's a way to make it easier for Algerian living abroad. This is one of the maybe the possibility that makes this diaspora contribution in Africa easier using digital tools.
Continuing the topic about the Algerian diaspora abroad, previously the acting Prime Minister Ifrikya mentioned during the opening speech of the African Diaspora Day that African communities abroad are an economic and cultural force to be reckoned. So how is your ministry working to connect Algerian innovators with diaspora networks?
We started a few years ago a process that allows any Algerian living everywhere to launch a startup in Algeria. And we give all the support. It starts by the label. Today, to be recognized in the Algerian ecosystem, you have just to go on startup.dz and ask for a label. And it's a 100% fully digital process. And then we put also some facilities on the funding process and on the support process. We have several incubators working with our competences abroad. Better than that, these last 2 years, we've seen that a lot of Algerian experts living abroad came to Algeria, noticed this energy and this efficiency of the Algerian ecosystem and started to launch their own incubators, making them as a bridge between the Algerian market and the Algerians living abroad. So we have several incubators launched by diaspora members themselves, and we are encouraging this initiative, we are supporting this initiative, and we think that these are the real bridges, because an incubator, it's a way to make people having ideas all over the world and making this idea concrete as a startup or as an SME in the Algerian economy and also in the African economy.
Talking about bridges, you've mentioned the bridges as well, and during this edition of the IATF 2025, the recurring theme is building bridges. And Africa, between Africa and Caribbean, there is the topic of building bridges between these two, I'm going to say locations, between the Caribbeans and Africa. But what role can Algerian startups play in fostering these cross-regional partnerships?
I think that the first bridge that we can build easily is digital platforms. And this is what we tried here in Algeria. Then, yeah, Caribbean also might have an important role in the African economy. And we have seen in this fourth edition that there was a focus on Caribbean. Now, today, when we're talking about technology, we don't talk about border, we talk about market. And today, I think that the African, the Caribbean market becomes one. So Algerian startups who can have the possibility to go to the African market can easily, in my opinion, also investigate the Caribbean market.
Which is a large market to investigate. But we're going to move to another angle and talk about technology and innovation, as it is, the trend.
Yeah.
So about technology and innovation, they are often highlighted during speeches and during sessions, during panels, as tools to reduce the inequities. How is Algeria positioning itself as a hub for digital transformation in Africa?
We have to say that Algeria did big efforts, especially these last years, on digitalization. You have today more than 2 million houses connected to the optical fiber, due to the big efforts deployed by my colleague Sidali Zarrouki and his team. So no one can deny that today in Algeria, digitalization has known a very big progress, especially with internet spread, with 5G, which will be launched in a couple of days maybe, or a couple of weeks. So the effort is here. We are talking also about the optical fiber backbone, which will connect Algiers to the African cities. So I think the efforts are there. We can do much more, better, because the digitalization is going with a very high speed on terms of technology. Today we are noticing that the artificial intelligence solutions are also making an invasion in the world. And we have to prepare ourselves, we have to manage to have more and more skilled people in this sensitive domain. And I think Algeria has all the components to play a role of leader, of digital leader on the African continent.
You have mentioned very interesting points which lead me to ask you this question, even though maybe we're going to go off topic, but this is something that is important for me to mention to our audience to know as well. You've mentioned that Algeria is preparing to launch the 5G, which is something very interesting, as well as you've mentioned artificial intelligence, and that is something, the direction that the world is going forward to. But since we're talking about the diaspora, Algerian diaspora also is active when it comes to the artificial intelligence. So how are we going to integrate the Algerian diaspora when it comes to artificial intelligence, especially with the 5G coming way soon to Algeria? So what is the preparations with the startups?
Let me tell you that it's already done, because when we launched in 2023, the AI scientific board, more than half of the board are composed of experts Algerian living abroad. So it's already done. Today, Algeria has drafted a national strategy of artificial intelligence. It has been presented last December during the African Startup Conference. I think we're going to talk about this important event also during this interview. And our competences today, many of the experts that we invited today in this event within the EITF are experts in computer science, in artificial intelligence, in very high technology. So it's already done.
And that is something to look forward to when you see it in action. But looking ahead, what would you say Algeria's message to Africans, the diaspora, who want to contribute to the continent's prosperity?
Today, I think Africa is one market, even with the Caribbean. And any company in Africa, our job is to make easier for these companies to have be in this market and to grow quickly in all the African and Caribbean market. So my message is that you have to start somewhere. We will help you to go global.
Algeria is also preparing for the 4th edition of this African Startup Conference to be held in December this year, something to look forward to. But what can we expect to be the highlight during this year?
This fourth edition, which will be held from the 6th to the 8th December, inshallah, here in Algiers, will be dedicated to champions, will be dedicated to show success stories. We will put on the main stage the most inspiring entrepreneurs and success stories of the African continent. And we will also invite even African founders living in other continents. The goal is that today we believe that our youth and skilled and very motivated population will be more inspired when they will see real success stories in Africa. Not only in the other continents, but in Africa. So for the next edition, we are planning, inshallah, to have a maximum number of very inspiring startups, very interesting SMEs, and we will make them meeting young entrepreneurs, young students, university students, and have the opportunity to exchange experience. In the same time, we will give the possibility for startups to meet with investors, with tech experts, and once again, this gathering will involve a big part of the African diaspora all over the world.
That is very interesting. What team is going to be the center of this edition?
So the team this time will focus on the success stories. So for this time, we did not choose to have a technical team, but we are more talking about a team.
Inspiration?
Exactly. It's more about inspiration. It's more about making our young entrepreneurs, innovators, believing in their dreams and believing in their hopes. And they will meet in real unicorns. They will be founders that their company today in Africa are averted more than $1 billion. So this is, I think, it never happens in African continent, and our hope is to make it for the first time in Algiers next December, inshallah.
Thank you for all these declarations and all this insight. Once again, this was Mr. Nourredine Ouadah, the Minister of Knowledge, Economy, Startups and SMEs of Algeria. Thank you once more, and thank you for accepting our invitations. As for you, dear listeners, don't go too far. Stay tuned for more exclusive interviews and insights right from the IATF 2025. Until then, take care. Thank you.